Hey everybody, welcome to day 12 of our 30 days toward creating a family ministry plan for your church. My name's Tommy and this is Ron Hunter. He's the author of the DNA of D6. And so just to kick us off, allow me to share some thoughts from Chris Truitt, who has a little insight about the book. He says, the DNA of D6 is one of the best books I've read on discipleship. In fact, I've required it for several of our staff to read, which is exactly what we want to hear, that we get to bless other people, our volunteers, our staff, with this opportunity to really delve into the thought of what is family-based ministry and how do we apply it in our local church context. So before we get going, in the previous session, you had mentioned, Ron, about leaders in our churches minding the gap. But I guess the next logical step that we should ask ourselves is, how are we helping parents do the same? How are parents minding the gap? How can we help that?
Well, for parents to be involved, they're going to have to be invited in by the leaders of your church. Whether or not they're your small group leaders, your Sunday school teachers, life group leaders, or by your staff. They've got to be invited in, and they're going to have to be shown, because we have created a culture, again, where they're like, I'm not the experts. We need to make parents the experts. And part of minding the gaps with parents is for us to list out every key age group ministry that we have in our church. So might be right now you grab a piece of paper for your church, turn it landscape, and start drawing from left to right the youngest age to the oldest age. It might be just listing out your age and your small groups, your life groups, or it might be your actual departments in your church. Ever how you do it, list them from left to right on your piece of paper. And in doing so, list the key leaders and say, okay, if, for example, they're the student minister, normally we would say they're responsible to minister to students, children's minister to children, and so forth and so on. We can do this again with life group leaders, teachers. Who are they ministering to? And any age other than adults, I would say there needs to be two lines drawn down, one to the children, if they're a children's minister, and one to their parents. And they need to split time, and that's the key here. They need to split time and train the parents to do what they're doing at class. Help them begin that process of taking care of those silos, getting it all working together, moms and dads getting involved. But those youth leaders, student pastors, children's leaders, they have to spend time training the parents. You say, man, I'm already stretched. Take a little time away from what you're already doing. It'll be worth it in the long run to make a difference by helping the parents help you. Again, parents are what? Ministry multipliers, going back to a previous session. Let's make it work here, minding those gaps with parents.
So Ron, let me piggyback off your illustration and just draw attention to the takeaway as being splitting our time. So how are you splitting your time between your ministry to the students that you're responsible for and your ministry to their parents? Because if you and I now are discovering that the main disciple makers of those students are supposed to be the parents, then we need to be spending an appropriate amount of time with them to influence the home. And so evaluate what's the percentage of time you're spending between each of them. And if you're not satisfied with that, then what steps will you take to make that a more appropriate percentage in God's eyes? So as you continue thinking this through, don't forget to go to d6family.com/DNA so that you can see the free assessment there to assess where your church and your ministries and your leadership are currently at with family ministry. You can also subscribe there and get all of these coaching sessions emailed directly to your inbox. It's completely free. We just want to bless you with that. And then, of course, you can buy the book, The DNA of D6. So thank you so much for joining us today. We cannot wait to continue this conversation with you tomorrow.